What is small talk? It's the kind of short, casual conversation you have with people you don't know well. In our last lesson, we had talked about how to ask polite questions in English. So, for example, instead of saying, "What time does the train leave?" we would say, "Excuse me, can you tell me what time the train leaves?" "It leaves at 9:30. "Thank you. Do you happen to know which platform?" These phrases, "can you tell me?" "Do you happen to know?" "Would you mind if I?" "Is it all right if I?" They're a kind of formula where we make English questions more polite by making them less direct. If your polite questions turn into a short conversation, then you have small talk. When you meet another person, you don't know anything about them. So in order to show a polite interest, you start with some small talk. And sometimes you just talk to someone standing next to you in line or at a bus stop, and you know you'll probably never see them again. So here's an example. Two people at a bus stop on a rainy day. "Excuse me, do you know if the bus to Brooklyn stops here?" "Yeah, that's the bus I'm taking. It's running late." "Thanks. Probably because of the rain." "Yeah, I hate this weather." "It's supposed to be nice this weekend, though." "I hope so." Notice that after thanks, the conversation could have just ended. But because we added, "probably because of the rain," a comment about the weather, the conversation kept going a little bit. That turns it from just asking a polite question into small talk. The most common type of people that you use small talk with are the ones you don't know that well, or a little, like office employees who may not be good friends but work in the same department, a hairdresser. You might make small talk with your barista at the coffee shop, or a cashier, or other business people that you see. So, what do we talk about? Well, common topics are sports, the weather, music, TV shows, food, current events. All of those are good topics that most people have something to say about. What topics should you not bring up? Well, all of the things that we talked about in the lesson on rude questions would count as rude subjects for conversation, primarily politics, religion, personal life. Here's another example. Two coworkers happen to meet in the office and they talk. "Hey, Mark, how are you doing?" "Good. You?" "Good, thanks. Did you see the game last night?" "Oh, I couldn't believe it. What a disaster." "I know. I was sure we were going to win." "Me too." "Well, I better go to my meeting. Have a good one." "You too." So the two coworkers say, "Hi, how are you?" Talk for a minute about sports, and then say goodbye. A social gathering, like a party, is another time you would use small talk. You might talk for a minute or two to someone you know. "Hi, how are you?" "Good, how have you been?" "Great, thanks." "Nice party." And then you move on. With people that you don't know, small talk is how you start to get to know them. You can talk about more important things later. Hi, are you a friend of Amy's? Yes, we work together. I'm Diana. I'm Karen. Are you a nurse too? No, I do the billing. What do you do? I write for a newspaper. Oh, that must be interesting. What do you write about? Local news. Do you like working at the hospital? And the conversation goes on. Notice all of the questions that they ask. Questions are one of the ways that you can keep a conversation going. If somebody says something like, I work with Amy, oh, what do you do? Do you like working at the hospital? It keeps the conversation going. So if you run into a coworker or a neighbor who's been on vacation, ask questions. How was your vacation? Where did you go? When did you get back? And of course, how was the weather? Also, it's important that when you are listening, that you show that you are paying attention to what the other person is saying. We use expressions like, uh-huh, yeah, really, wow, to show that we're listening and that we're paying attention to what the other person is saying. So remember that small talk is casual. Talk about everyday things like the weather. Ask questions. This keeps the conversation going. And use expressions like uh-huh and yeah and really to show that you're listening.